Howdy, Macedonia Church family. My obstacles today are carpenter bees and cardinals. They are flying around everywhere. How beautiful is it? Isn't it great to have this warmer weather? I never thought I would say that, but it is nice to have it, to be able to enjoy being outside and seeing God's creation come back to life. The leaves all filling up in the trees and the birds and everything out singing their songs, and it's a beautiful time. And I thank God for the beauty of this to share during this time together. I want to say I really enjoyed last night's discussion. I don't want to do another discussion of chapter 12 because I feel like we covered that in great depth last night. And so thank you all for discussion. We had 12 people in 9 different locations. Even Kelly from Pennsylvania was on board with us from Penn State University. And that was pretty awesome to see her and spend some time with her, and said her and Joe are doing well. I'm sorry, a carpenter bee is giving me the what for here. Say bye. All right. So very glad to see Kelly, and we think about y'all often, and it was good to see you, and glad your husband's doing well anyway. So, and great seeing everybody else, some good faces, and some that weren't on video. It was great to hear some people. And so just enjoyed that. It's the best way we have right now to connect, and not be face-to-face in person. So that is wonderful. Appreciate the flexibility on that. Today, as we look at Mark 13, and I was reading, these are about my favorite, the Gospel of Mark by William Barclay. Barclay is an awesome writer about the Gospels, a great person to explain things. And let me just explain to you here this first thing that he said. And Mark 13 is one of the most difficult chapters in the New Testament for a modern reader to understand. That it is because it is one of the most Jewish chapters in the Bible. From beginning to end, it is thinking in terms of Jewish history and Jewish ideas. All through it, Jesus is using categories and pictures which were very familiar to the Jews of his day, but which are very strange, of course, to us. Even so, it is not possible to disregard this chapter because it is the source of many ideas about the second coming of Jesus. The difficulty about the doctrine of the second coming is that nowadays people are either apt to completely disregard it or to be completely so unbalanced about it that it becomes for them practically the only doctrine that they want to talk about. It may be that if we study this chapter with some care, we shall come to a sane and correct view about this doctrine. I had to include that because I thought that was a beautiful understanding of the difficulty of this chapter. I want to focus on, for our setting, I think we can always agree on the Apostles' Creed, say, and we'll come back again, and that Jesus will return. That is not something that we need to focus on a ton, I believe, because we know, we affirm that every week. We affirm it in our faith. We affirm it with communion. Christ has come. Christ will come. Christ will come again. And so this is something that we know regularly, but the motivation of this chapter should not be missed. And so I want to look at the very beginning, which is perfect for the situation we are, stuck in a different way. As they were going out of the sacred precincts, one of his disciples said to Jesus, "Teacher, see what stones and what buildings." They were proud of their temple. Jesus said to him, "You see this great building? Not one stone will be left on another which will not be thrown down." Jesus understood that the building had its purpose, but that was not the center of faith that most people considered it. The Jews, if you had asked them where is the bedrock, the cornerstone of their faith, they would have said the temple. Jesus wanted to tear that idea down. Of course, they disrupted the temple, and he disrupted them disrupting the temple, as we talked about a chapter ago. But what happens now is that Jesus is saying, you know what, this temple is going to be destroyed, and it was in 70 AD. If we consider Jesus was around probably 35 AD here when he is crucified and resurrected. So if we think that maybe 70 AD is just a generation or two later, in 70 AD the temple is completely destroyed. And at that time it is never rebuilt. And so what we have happen is that the center of faith, if you are based on the building, your center of faith is gone, isn't it? You are destroyed. But Jesus taught our faith is not built on a building. Our faith is built on relationship. In fact, following me. And so Jesus said, I am the cornerstone, not the temple. And I think that's a beautiful thing. What he does in saying, I am the cornerstone, is he takes himself and makes his life and his spirit be the direction that we are to follow, not what is happening in the legalism of the temple. And so it is for us during this COVID-19 time period. The church has left the building. The church is not gone. The church is not empty. We have a building that is sitting empty most of the time, but the church is certainly not empty. The church is alive and vibrant and wherever our feet go. And so it is significant for us to understand this and live this out in our faith. We need each other right now. I need your creativity. I'm trying to get creative about some things, but there are many ways in which you can add to ideas and ministries of the church at this time, which I cannot. And so we simply need each of you to think about, how can I be the church? What can I do to live out my faith? And I will send out to you, directed in the email that comes with this video, a link to Spiritual Gift Inventory on the Discipleship website. I ask that you will click on this link, that you will take the Spiritual Gift Inventory, and that you will notice what gifts come to the forefront and seek how you can use those gifts during this time. Because truly the church has left the building. And now this chapter, Jesus talks about the day that is to come, the day of the Lord, and he even talks about his return as well. And then at the end, he says, watch. This is the important part to wake us up, and this is the motivation I was referring to before, which we cannot lose from this. If we don't get anything else from this chapter, it is that. We must remain passionate about Christ and seeking him, or we must find our passion for seeking Christ and following him. Because he says, you will not know, and anyone who says they know when, you know it won't be that day. So none of us know when he will return. So we must be prepared, we must be ready, we must be passionate for him each moment of each day. And God bless. Please involve yourself with the Spiritual Gift Inventory and pray with me about this together. How can we be the church as the church has left the building? Amen.